One thing, the software that's available now has a lot of your courses on there, and well, that's a possibility to learn that way too, to teach your more advanced or those coming, they're struggling.
Yep. Well,
I used to think distance learning was the way to do it, but it hasn't been utilized to the extent that I thought it should be. With the software and stuff, maybe it's more accessible now.
Well, I think if we look at Florida and Michigan and Oregon as three examples, they have virtual schools, and actually kids in Michigan are required to take at least 2 courses through a virtual school for graduation requirement. You're talking about graduation requirement. They're required to do that for graduation. And so I think there are things out there. I'm glad you're talking about graduation requirements, because if your goal is to revisit the graduation requirements, take a look at them in the light of what's needed today, I think that could probably take you more than a week. But that's good. So I've got one goal.
And I don't know, I think I don't know if it's a goal or something we need to work on, but in our society now, because of numerous reasons, we have a lot of kids that I don't know if you would call transients, but you've got kids going optioning, so they're, the amount, what they're able to take at this school, a neighboring school, or kids that are going from their fathers to their mothers. I mean, and we're seeing a lot of shifting in each class of kids, whether it's in 2nd grade or whether it's a junior. How do we make sure we're adjusting to, kids may move in and have way more than what we've offered, or usually have less, and how do we catch them up and keep them in line?
The mobility of students is huge, and some districts have greater mobility than others, but I think probably Omaha and Lincoln have just within the district so much mobility among between schools. People will not be able to afford their rent in a place, or they just won't pay it, and then they move to another location in town, and they keep moving, and kids keep moving. And as long as they're moving in the same school district, there's some uniformity in that curriculum. But when they move to Malcolm, they're faced with a different curriculum. So what you're talking about here is kids that maybe are in the Ord Public Schools part of the year and out part of the year and back the next year. And
that too.
Yeah, and then just the mobility itself.
State standards has helped that some. They require or the state standards require that by the 6th grade level you need to know this stuff. By the 8th grade level this stuff, and so on. So it kind of caused more of a statewide curriculum.
Lonnie, that's a great issue, and I'm not sure how you make that a goal right now, but part of it has to do with how you align your curriculum from preschool on up, and then how you bring kids in, and at least kind of assess where they are when they get here. When I was at Elkhorn, we had all the kids. There were a couple of horse farms out there, so the jockeys' kids always, when Exarban opened up, the jockeys always lived out there. So we'd get 20 or 30 kids that came to our school once a year for about a month and a half during race season. Great kids. We loved to see them come, because we just knew them. It was just kind of like the swallows returning to come. They were back. And good kids, but they had experienced usually 4 or 5 different school systems that year. Kentucky, they were in California, they were in New Mexico. They were in just different states. And so we always had the issue of catching them. And when they got into high school, it was a bigger issue. Because eventually those kids had to graduate or at least get a GED. And so that mobility issue has been with us a long time. But I think kids are more mobile today than they were then. Let me think about that. It's a good one.
Well, and I think, we've had some kids move in because they could supposedly graduate here, and they couldn't somewhere else, or at least that was an excuse they made, and now they're not here either, so I mean, who knows?
So dealing with that whole issue of.
Yeah, it's gotta be a nightmare for the guidance counselors. And I think that's another thing that, it's taking more time, whether it's the teachers or the administration or the guidance counselors to deal with these problems along with the other problems that are coming from home.
Yeah, I think that's universal.
And the school's doing more than it has in the past. Guidance counselors, things like that. Their plates are fuller.
And I think in an economy like we're in right now, families are really struggling. And, they're paying a heavy price, kids pay a heavy price for that. And it's a tougher issue right now. There's always a certain percentage of the population that struggles financially, period. But right now, there's a bigger percentage that's struggling, and that shows in kids and families. Well, we've got revisit graduation requirements, then we've got an issue about mobility. What other goal area?
I might throw one out.
For sure.
The governor has challenged us to lengthen our school year, lengthen our school day, but do it with less money. And so I think we have to address that, how we can, the less money is gonna come the next 2-3 years, and then I think you're gonna see a lot of pressure to lengthen the school year. So how are you going to do that?
Yeah, theoretically, it's not tough at all, but you gotta pay for that.
You gotta pay for it.
I was gonna say,
Yeah.
that goes back to the finance part
Yeah.
of it.
My daughter's a principal in Lincoln, and the Lincoln Education Association has negotiated so many days off that, and she just pulls her hair out. Kids are in school and they're going for the days. School gets out at 2:50.
We did,
Or did.
till they had snow days,
Yeah.
now they're making it up.
But, we've seen a compacting of the school day nationwide from maybe 8:30 to 2:50, when it used to be 8 to 4, maybe 8 to 4:30. And in a world like we live in today, we need all the time we can get with kids. And many of them are returning home to be the only person at home anyway. And in some ways, I think it would help parents a great deal if we could lengthen the school day to keep kids around. I've seen just a tremendous increase in after-school programs, especially at elementary schools. So it's really a lengthening of the school day anyway, but it's a community-based program. So that's probably one you're gonna have to deal with.
How long ago was it we started our breakfast program? That's been in the past 5 years.
I was gonna say 4 or 5 years.
I think that was a big benefit, and
Yeah.
especially at elementary age.
Yeah, we were seeing more and more kids that couldn't hardly make it through the morning because I had absolutely nothing to eat until they got to dinner, you know, we're struggling to get through, so. The nurse was bringing cookies and stuff to try to
There's a lot of snacks.
snacks to get it through.
My daughter's school is 93% free and reduced lunch. There's 430 students. About 60% of them eat breakfast at school. And on Friday afternoon, 150 of those kids take backpacks full of food home for the weekend because that's the food they'll have. The backpack program in Lincoln is just huge. There are 3,500 kids that live so far below the poverty level that school is about the only place they're getting food. But most people in Lincoln believe that isn't true. I mean, if you drive through Lincoln,